Hello, this is John Tierney. I am JJT over on Touring Plans forums and Lines chat. I also write Priceline and Hotwire um, resort deal posts on the Touring Plans blog. Even wrote an annual pass post once for them in the last year or so. This is not affiliated with Touring Plans at all. This is just a spreadsheet tool that I wrote a year or three ago that would help people crunch some numbers and decide whether it was worth buying an annual pass as opposed to buying tickets for every trip they take. And I just like to talk my way through it. This is going to be completely off the cuff, so excuse me if I stammer and think about things, but let's move on. If you were not aware, in this August of 2021, within the last day or so, Disney announced the new annual pass scheme. So these passes replace the old platinum and gold and other passes that existed. You'll notice that the bottom three here are available to Florida residents. The last of those three is also available to Disney Vacation Club members. And the final one, the Disney Incredipass, is available to all guests. You can see that the Incredipass is $12.99 plus tax. I'm not going to get into the details of what each one entails, but that $12.99 would like to note does not include PhotoPass any longer like the Platinum Pass did. That is an add-on for another $99 plus tax, and there is also another add-on of Water Park and Sports option for an additional $99 plus tax. I think both of those are actually a good deal for an annual pass price for those individual items. But if you add the $99 plus tax of the PhotoPass cost to the top of this Incredipass annual pass, it comes out to about a 16.5%, I think, increase over the Platinum Pass last year, which did include the PhotoPass. The good news is you do not need to get PhotoPass for every person in your party. So if you have a family of four, you would just get it for one of the annual passes. So it's not really that whole 16%. It's probably, or maybe it was 12%. It's probably more like a 6.5% increase. Still, cost of living, things happen. But we're going to go forward and use these nice new numbers to see if it's worth it or when it is worth it to upgrade to an annual pass now. If you look in my sheet, I will admit that it is a busy sheet. I'm in some cases dealing with just the limitations of Google Sheets and how nice you can make them look. I also try to make something that fits in a single screen or provides as much detail info as somebody who's more advanced would like versus a simpler one that would just spit out a number. Because I find when somebody creates a tool that just spits out a single number, yes, this is good, no, it is not, it doesn't help you decide because you don't know where all those numbers came from. So I try to depict as much of the savings and things as I can in the sheet itself. So let's work our way down and then maybe you'll see what I mean. Up at the top, you can enter in any of the red cells on this sheet. You can enter data. So let's make believe we're going to go with the standard 2 adult, 2 child family or group. If you go right below that, you'll notice there's a drop down. You can click on the little arrow right there, and you can choose from the type of pass you want. I also have the renewal prices in here as well. So if we go to the Sorcerer Pass, which is, I believe, the DVC plus Florida resident available passes, when you click on that, you'll notice that each price changes to the $957, which is $8.99 plus tax. And it estimates the family of four will cost $3,830. If you select any of these, it will change to what those numbers are. So we're going to go back to the Incredipass, which is the standard available to all Platinum Pass equivalent from the previous versions. So that will cost $13.83, not including the add-ons of the PhotoPass or the Sports. So for the family of four, we're at $5,500. We're going to jump down now to this table where you can enter info on trips. So if you are a annual pass type of family or person, chances are you're going to buy park hoppers, I'm guessing. We tend to do base tickets in my family because we like to stick to it park, but if you're the kind of person who goes in the morning, takes a break in the middle and stuff, park hoppers are important, right? So let's try starting with 2 trips. You can do up to 4 trips here of 5 days each. just to see what happens compared to an annual pass cost. I'm going to admit that I have a little cheat sheet here. Before I started this video, I went out to Boardwalk Ticketing, which seems to be one of the cheaper resellers now, as well as Disney, and I found the total price cost for base and park hopper tickets for 3, 4, 5, and 10 days, and what it would cost for the 4-person party we just defined. And I'm going to use these numbers in my table. So if we're doing these 5-day park hopper tickets, for the 4 people, all the way at the end here, you can put the number for the tickets. At Boardwalk Ticketing would be the cheapest. It would cost $1,618. Disney's price for that is actually $1,692. So you're saving some money there by going to the reseller. We'll talk about Disney's price in a second after we enter more info in this table. So this table is, every row is a trip, and you can put your food, merchandise, hotel, and parking costs in here as well, although the parking's calculated, to help the whole table crunch the numbers and see what you're going to save. At the top of the table, you'll notice more numbers in red cells. If you hover over any of the cells that have a little triangle in the corner, I might have put notes in it to tell you what I'm doing in there, so you can read those over time if you are a glutton for punishment. But in this particular case, these define how much you save with an annual pass discount. So right here, I'm estimating that if I have an annual pass, I'll save 10% on my food at restaurants. And I'm going to estimate that that annual pass discount will be available at, say, 80% of the restaurants that I'm going to go to in Disney World. It might be higher, it might be lower. Not every restaurant has them, I believe. We're going to estimate a 20% merchandise discount. I'm going to ignore hotel for now. We can talk about that later. Parking is, you would actually have a 100% discount if you stayed off-site. You'd have a 100% discount for theme park parking because it's included. So this, if you just keep that at 100%, this will estimate it for you, and then we'll see what happens at the bottom. So right now, I'm going to go back to my thing here and say for a 5-day trip with my 4 people, I'm going to do a conservative $800 for food for each trip. And let's say I spend $200 in merchandise, both of which might be low numbers, but let's go with it. So right now, for 2 trips, I would have spent $1,600 in food. And with my 10% discount at 80% of the restaurants, I ended up saving $128 with my AP discount. For my merchandise, I saved $80. If I were off-site, I would have saved a whopping $250 in parking costs, because free parking at the parks. Not at the resorts, of course. So with just this basic info for 2 trips, let's go to the bottom table, which is kind of the summary. With my AP discount, I saved $208, which is $128 plus $80, and it would have been plus hotel if we used it. If I were off-site, I would save $458, because it's all of these 3 together would be my savings. We didn't talk about bridging tickets yet. We will in a second. I didn't add any of those add-ons like PhotoPass or Memory Maker. So right now we've saved $208. If I subtract that $208 from the cost of the annual pass, I end up with a net cost for my annual pass of $5,326 for my family of 4, which means compared to my tickets of $3,236, I'm actually at a loss of about $2,000. I spent $2,000 more than I needed to go on my 2 trips. The annual pass is clearly not worth it here. But we haven't done some things yet. One of the things we can do is go back to this bridging ticket savings. If you weren't aware, if you buy reseller tickets at a discount and then go into the park after you use them, you can upgrade them to an annual pass. And you should be able to get that savings to remain in your overall cost. If you go and the cast member upgrades your tickets, you should still save the money that you saved on the reseller tickets. Some cast members do different things, and you might have to tell them, look, I expected this to be my price, but that's outside of the scope of this video. So to take into account the possible bridging ticket savings, we're going to put in way up top the full price for these 5-day park hopper tickets on my first trip, which would be $1,692. So that $1,692 is $74 more than I paid. So I would have saved that as well. So I brought my savings or loss down a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So we're still out $2,000. So let's take into account other things. Um, Tables in Wonderland is a program you can buy where you can buy a card that gives you additional discounts at some restaurants, including alcohol. So if you have an adult crew that's going to drink, drinks are really expensive in some locations, if not all. That could be worth it to you, so you could crunch those numbers here. So if you decided you were going to buy Tables in Wonderland when it's available, I do not believe it is right now because there's no dining plans as of this video being recorded. It would cost you $150 if you were an annual pass holder or a DVC person. It's actually a little bit more for Florida residents. And then if you did buy that, you could say, okay, now my discount for food is 20%, which would increase your savings. We're not going to do that here because it isn't being sold, and let's go back to the normal add-ons. So let's say we're a annual pass kind of buying family. Chances are we want a photo pass. We want to get as many pictures as we can, and we would have bought them on our trips. So I'm going to select it here, and you can see it's telling me there's an error. And that's because down in the table, I need to tell it what trips I'm going to use the memory maker on. You might not want it for every trip, but let's say we do here. So if I just select them, you can see now that I added on PhotoPass, and it cost me $105 because I don't need it for everybody, just for the one person. But if I had bought it on 2 separate trips, it would have cost me $338. So that's a savings of about $228. Is that true? And now if you look down here, I am still out a significant amount of money. It's still $1,700 more. So you can see that we're getting closer to making the annual pass worth it, but we need a lot more park days than this. So let's just say, let's add a third trip in. What if we're doing 3 separate 5-day trips? We're going to add our memory maker in. We're going to spend the same money again. We're going to buy the same tickets at Boardwalk or another reseller. You can see now I would have spent $4,854 in just tickets to go to the parks if I'm buying 5-day park hoppers. So that's really going to bring us closer to this being valuable. And you can see with these trips and all the savings we went over before, now we're actually we're even. We're within $108 of making money here. This is all generic numbers, so you can't trust that $108 because we're estimating everything. But right now, it looks like somewhere between 12 and 15 days of park hopper tickets will get us to the point where an annual pass is worth it for everybody in your party. It's good to know. You really have to be going a bunch of times for it to be worth it, but you can make it worth it by massaging your own numbers. My numbers might be low. Maybe you have a family that's really foodie and you're really spending $1,200 a trip. I don't know. And now you're making a little bit more money there, and maybe if you buy more merchandise on each trip, your savings will go up. And you'll notice, I'm going to undo all those and just make them the standard numbers, that I have a table here that says with AP discounts and without AP discounts. So with these AP discounts, the on-site savings right now is $108. But if you take into account parking, if I'm an off-site person, I would have spent $375 to park at the parks. I'm actually going to save about $483. Now we're starting to talk real money. This annual pass is really paying for itself. And if you're taking more trips, it's going to pay for more. If you don't even take into account the AP discounts, because let's just say you don't really spend that much in park. Maybe you eat food off that you bring yourself or something like that. You're still in the neighborhood here of it being worth it. You're spending $200 more if you don't include any of these discounts than if you just bought tickets. But that's close. You might actually be even at this point. I would consider that even myself. And if you're doing off-site, you're still ahead because the parking really comes into play here. So if you're off-site and don't take into account any of these discounts, you're kind of ahead. So I think, right here, somewhere in the 14 to 15 day range is probably where you're getting close to the break even. You'll save even more money if you take into account something like water parks. Let's say you go to the water parks once a trip because you just love them. Let's choose that now, and you can see once I selected that, it told me there's an error. I selected it, but I didn't tell it what trips I was going to take water park days on. So let's just say every trip we're going to do 1 water park day. That's this column right here. So now I would have needed to buy water park tickets for 4 people for each trip. That would actually cost me $831 without an annual pass. But buying it with the annual pass cost me $422. So that's a pretty good savings. You know, that's almost $400 right there. So now you can see with PhotoPass plus water parks add-ons, plus this generic expense that I stuck in here, you're really up $500 for these 3 trips. So massage them. Let's say we keep the water parks and remove that 3rd trip. Yep, we lost a bunch there. So we're down low again. So we want to keep the 3 trips. Now, the second part of this is you don't need to buy annual passes for everybody to get discounts. You only need an annual pass for one person. So if you are a family who goes but not a ton, it could be valuable to you to buy an annual pass for a single person, get all the food and merchandise discounts as well as parking covered if you were going to be off-site, and then you just buy tickets for the other 3 people. So I'm going to quickly do the same thing here. I'm going to keep these 2 5-day trips. 4 people are still traveling, so we're going to keep all of these expenses the same. We're just going to change the price we paid for this ticket for one person. So we're going to go up here and make this 1 adult and no children. We're going to buy 1 annual pass that, say, for me, and then my 3 family members will get regular tickets, but I will buy everything and get all the discounts in the park. So if we do this now, I'm only going to spend $13.83 for my base pass. My first ticket's still going to be, is now going to be, let's see, for one person, a 5-day park hopper at Disney would be $570. And at Boardwalk Ticketing, if I bought a discounted ticket so I can bridge those tickets to an annual pass, would be $546. And if we're doing 2 trips, I'm going to buy that twice. So we're not considering the rest of my family's Disney tickets here at all anymore. We're just considering my tickets. Theirs you're still going to have to buy, but it's not a part of the value of this AP upgrade. So I'm one person buying either 2 5-day park hopper tickets and a water park day each, and memory maker for each trip. Still spending the same food and merchandise thing because my whole family's going. You can see that with just 2 trips, I'm actually ahead by $200. So buying the 1 pass for one person but still going and buying tickets for the rest of my family did save me money. So it's worth buying 1 annual pass here. And you can see if I even take off the water park days, we're still ahead by $173. Let's see what happens if I remove the photo pass as well. So yeah, so we're actually down $59, but that, in my opinion, is a wash. We're probably even at this point, if not ahead. If I spend more money on food and merchandise, it might make it up. So it's still probably worth it if I'm on site. If I go off site, I just save $250 in parking if I'm staying off site. So it's probably worth it even more because it's almost $200 in savings. So you can play with these, go back and forth and see how it works for you. You can put your numbers in. You might be a Florida resident or a DVC owner, and if you are, something like a Sorcerer Pass will make it much more worth it to you. So when I changed from Incredipass to Sorcerer Pass, the price of the individual AP is a lot less, and now I'm up to $367 in savings with just these 2 trips of 5. So if I'm buying for my whole family, it looked like I needed somewhere over 13, 14, 15 days to make the annual pass worth it with the spend that I put in here. But with a single annual pass, it was worth it around 10 days, maybe even less, depending on how much I do spend. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I just wanted to put together a quick how-to here because I know I throw spreadsheets out and they look complicated to people who don't normally use spreadsheets, and I just wanted to have sort of an example. Hopefully this is useful to you.